So, ma'am, I'll just start the session. I'll introduce you to the participants before we start. So, this is the second day of our 5-day training program on nutrition in village level planning and monitoring. Yesterday, they got to know about the very basics of nutrition, some of the indicators that can be picked up from monitoring and measurement of malnutrition at the village level. Then we had Dr. Vanishri, who spoke about some rural institutions which can be looked after for convergence in nutrition and how through Gram Panchayat development plan nutrition can be addressed. So now today we have Dr. Veena Shatrugna with us, who is the former director of National Institute of Nutrition. She is a medical doctor by training and one of the founding members of Stree Shakti Sangatana. She was actively involved in women and health issues in the country and is a part of executive committee of Anveshi Research Center for Women's Studies. Dr. Shatrugna is an expert of India's nutrition policy and nutrition politics. Through her work, she has introduced us to the interplay of politics and science in advancing the kind of diet which has played its part in promoting malnutrition and disease. We expect that her expert views on nutrition crisis, especially after this COVID-19 pandemic, will greatly enrich this training program. So without further delay, I invite Dr. Shatrugna to please take over the session. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Ruchira. Is my voice clear? Can I?
Yes, ma'am. It's clear.
Okay. Well, it's a real pity I can't see a single person, but I have to accept it as it is. And yes, I was not a director of National Institute of Nutrition, but a deputy director when I retired.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Now, I'll quickly run you through the problem of malnutrition, hunger, and then ask you people to raise any doubts you have along the way. I have no problem. But since I won't have slides, I will give you a few figures, but they're not that important because if you have been looking at nutrition, there are zillions of reports which talk about the nutritional problems in India. There's a global hunger, there's a regional hunger, there's a district level report, there's a WHO report, there's UNICEF, there's FAO. Everybody puts out reports with figures, and you don't know what to do with those figures because somebody will tell you you're 102 on the global hunger index. Somebody will tell you you have gone down or you've gone up. No, as planners or even as people executing it on the ground, what do these numbers mean? I think it's become a huge business of malnutrition, doing surveys and putting out figures. The reality on the ground is that things are very bad. When I say things are very bad, it means people are not getting to eat what they should be eating. Okay, and we are a country who believes that if you are getting enough rice, if you're getting enough wheat, rotis, you should be happy. That is food. Okay, where is the need for talking of other things? That's the language we use. There's enough rice, there's enough wheat. Whether you look at PDS, whether you look at the food that was given to migrants, the food that is given in ICDS or in school lunch program, we still are at a stage where we feel if there is enough rice given, people should not complain. Now that is really unfortunate, and I'll try and explain why. Now, I'm not running away from figures, only to tell you that if you look at the kind of, see, weights and heights are very good indicators. When a person eats well, the person puts on weight. If it's a child, the person puts on weight and height, because that's the only time you can put on height in the first 18 years of your life. If you don't put on height, then it's not possible later on. So if you don't put on height, you stay stunted. If you don't put on weight, you are underweight. So these weighing children or weighing adolescents or weighing adults gives you a good indication whether the person is eating enough. If you don't eat for 1 week, you're going to lose weight. You know that. So if you look at the data from this country across, when I say country, I mean states, rural areas, etc., more or less the averages is what they look at. They find that even at 5 years of age, a child is already less in terms of weight by 3 to 4 kilograms. Now, as it is a child of that age, is hardly 12 or 14 kilos. And if already there's a deficit of 3 to 4 kilograms, it's a lot. Okay. Now, by the age of 10 years, a child can have a deficit of 10 kilos. Now, 10 kilos is a lot of weight. To have 10 kilos less on your body, just imagine what it means, because it's like a birth weight is 2.7 kilos. It's like almost like 3 small babies less in on your body. Just imagine the deficit in weight. This is our population. And when you look at adults, you find that there's a deficit of 11 to 16 kilograms. That is female to male. Okay, an adult will have a weight of about a woman has about 45, 46 kilograms. A man is like 54 or something like this. Actually, they should be 56 and 69, which is a deficit of 11 to 16 kgs. It's a huge amount. Now, when I say that deficit, it means that you carry much less weight on your body, and as a result, you can do much less work. And this is not just weight, it means there is less amount of nutrition, nutrients, vitamins, minerals, everything. Okay. Now, it's the people, of course, like to say, oh, there is a gender bias. Actually, when you look at nutritional status, there's no gender bias. I think men are equally bad, women, and women are as bad as men. So it would be very unfair to say that men are eating more. If you look at the deficit, men have something like 16 kilos less weight than what they should be having. Okay, an adult man. Similarly, when you look at heights, by the time a child is 10 years old, the child is not put on height, and rest of his life or her life, it's very difficult to put on this extra 10 centimeters deficit that you already see at the age of 10 years, which means that during the rapid growth phase, that is from birth to 10 years, a child has to put on so much of height that it falters because there isn't enough food, right? And there's a deficit of 10 centimeters. And as they become adults, this becomes 12 or 13. I mean, they can't make up this even if they want to. If you feel, because there's only a particular time when the bone will grow and the body grows, etc. So we as a nation are short and we are underweight. Now, people will say, oh, there's so much obesity. But these are the people who look at urban areas and look at well-off people. So if you're looking at dietitians and counselors, etc., in urban areas, they see a lot of obesity. But I'm not going to talk about that. There is obesity, but in one class. But when I'm talking about the deficits, this is rural, this is poor, and these are generally from backward communities, SCs, STs, and anyone who's working on the field. I don't know whether you saw the picture of migrant workers going back home during this COVID lockdowns. Did you see any obese man or woman walking down? They were all thin, as you know, like how would I say, with BMIs less than 20, BMIs of 18. Now, what is BMI? It is the amount of weight that is spread over your height. That is BMI. So if you have a BMI which is below 18.5, that means even for your low height, you don't have enough weight. So that is what it means. In the case of children, we call this wasting. That is, though they are short, even for the short height, their weight is not adequate. And that is why we have something like wasting from 15 to 20%. We have 35% who are underweight, we have 35% who are short. But even in that context, 20% don't even have enough weight for their height. So these are the kind of stark figures. And these are the children who fall sick very, very fast. When you're an adult, okay, you can eat better, but you can't put on height. And height is so important because it denotes that you have enough muscle. After all, if you put on weight, it's your bone that grows and the muscles that cover these bones. Muscles are very important for tissue metabolism, for preventing diabetes, heart attack, etc. So if you are short, you have very little muscle mass. And if you have less muscle mass, there's a lot of limitation to the kind of activities that you can perform. So if you grow old and put on weight, then you can only become obese. You can't become taller. So, but in our adult population, even there we have so much undernutrition, where about 20 to 30% have low BMIs. BMIs, I told you, is the weight across your height, spread across your height. And if that is less for your short height, you don't have enough weight, it's called BMI less than 18.5. And we have a huge number. Now, this again translates into birth weights. Women who uh, women who give birth to children who are undernourished, who have low weights and low heights, give birth to very small babies. And these are birth weights of mothers from poor backgrounds, rural backgrounds. It's just 22.7 kilograms. Whereas mothers who are well fed, urban, rich, it's about 3.2. It's almost half a kilo difference. And this makes a difference to the child's future uh, chronic diseases. It's very well known. Now, no matter what you do, the government is saying we'll raise the age of marriage. Somebody says feed the mother. Somebody says give micronutrients. See, it's not like one bullet will sort of solve the problem. There's no one thing. You have to have a quality of life which these young mothers must live, which is rest, food, and all the other fruits and vegetables, etc., for them to give birth to better babies. Better as in better weight babies. So, and this weight of 2.7 hasn't changed over the last 70 years, believe me. Low socioeconomic group birth weights are still 2.7. And high socioeconomic, the moment you cross the class barrier, you get a weight which is 3.2. So there is enough data on this. Those who are interested can read up. Now, even among these, the ones who have low birth weights, about 20% have small for date. That is about less than 2.5 kilograms. So the babies are so small that the survival is risky early, and they do not thrive as well as well-fed babies. So this is the kind of what would I say, the profile of the poor who eat the diets that they're eating today. I'll come to the diets now. That whether it's weight, heights, birth weights, there seem to be a huge deficit. Now, would you like to ask any questions at this stage, or shall we carry on? Because then I'll go on to food after this. Why are people underweight? Why are they not growing tall? Why are babies so small? Etc. etc. Do you think we need a small break here to ask any questions?
Participants who want to ask a question, please raise your hand. Up till this point, if there is any question, please raise your hand. यहाँ तक अगर किसी को कुछ पूछना है, प्लीज अपना हैंड रेज कीजिए, हम लोग मॉडरेट करेंगे क्वेश्चन. Yeah, ma'am, I think you can move.
Yeah. Hello. Shall I carry?
अपना नाम बताइए. अपना नाम बताइए.
Kaimbani katu kamera ka kanlan me ngai luni afdir. Ati ko chung ha kami ka etin ve tu ne. Ini etin tu ni to. Ini la tam lum silo ni.
Yeah, ma'am.
Can I say something?
I don't see any hand raised. Okay. I think you can go ahead. Yeah.
I'll carry on. Achha. Yeah. Now, when we look at what is it that people eat that leads us to this kind of situation? Okay. Now, when I look at the kind of information that we have, there is something called recommended dietary allowances. Okay. And these recommended dietary allowances are given in terms of cereals, pulses, vegetables, milk and fat. Fat matlab oil or dalda, whatever people are eating. That is the kind of recommended dietary allowances that are suggested. Now, you must remember that all foods provide calories. Calories are necessary for any work that you do. Calories, energy, that is, which makes your hand move, which makes you talk, which makes your heart beat, which makes you breathe, which makes you walk. So, calories are necessary for sheer existence. Okay? And calories come from every food. But the largest amount of foods that have calories are, of course, cereals like rice, wheat, millets, jawar, all kinds of millets, whether it is whichever grain that you take. 100 grams give you 360 calories approximately, plus or minus 510 वगैरह. So whatever cereal you take, you get about 360 calories. But if you take pulses, you not only get 360 calories, you get some protein also. So pulses have about 20% protein. And proteins are necessary for repair of your muscles, for all kind of enzymes, reactions, and you cannot store protein in your body. And proteins are coming from pulses, but the better quality proteins come from milk and eggs and meat and fish, etc., etc. Okay. Now, when it comes to oil or fat, whatever you want to call it, they give you a lot of calories. That is, 1 gram gives you 9 calories. So 100 will give you 900. But if rice gives you 360, oil 100 ml will give you 900 calories. So oil gives you lots of calories. Now, unfortunately, we are all so scared of oil because it causes heart problems, that we end up not distributing oil. But it's a very, today we know that people who work very hard require a lot of oil, require fat in their diet, because otherwise all the cereal that you eat, I'll come to that, cereal and pulse that you might eat, are fine. But oil is necessary for absorption of vitamins. There are something called fat soluble vitamins. So if your food does not have oil, these vitamins are not absorbed. And if your vitamins are not absorbed, you are going to have deficiency. And when you have deficiency, your whole body aches, leg pains, back pains, etc. Results that you go to a doctor and the doctor will give you a B complex injection. But unfortunately, in the PDS, we are not getting something as important as oil. But I'll come to that again. So most of the food that we eat because it gives us calories to do work, to walk, to work, to be able to participate in everything. One is using calories. Whether I'm talking, whether I'm walking, whether I'm sitting, whether I'm, those of you who do hard work also have to use much more calories. So depending on how much hard your work is, the calorie requirement keeps going up. And we say, okay, we require about 2,000, 2,400 calories for someone who's sedentary to moderate. But from where will these calories come? Now, these calories should come from all the foods. I told you cereals have about 360 calories, fat has 900 calories, pulses have 360, potatoes have about 100, meat has about 125, etc. But unfortunately, if you look at the way our diet is planned and encouraged, we try and get all the calories from cereals. So people will eat a mountain of rice with a little bit of chutney, that is, or a rasam or very thin sambar or dal. But major calories are being procured from cereals. There are big problems with this. Actually, cereals should provide less than 50% or 50 to 55% of your calories should come from cereals or from carbohydrates. But we end up getting 70%, 80% from cereals. And this has huge implications. This is really one of the biggest sources of deficiencies, and many, many deficiencies come, and I'll explain why. Now, the government is also has stopped. See, this idea that calories must come from cereals was decided in 1960s when India had a famine and we had absolutely no food production. But today, with surplus food production, we still feel that people should get only cereals. So when migrant labor was walking across, when there is a problem of food shortages, the only thing the government releases is cereals, rice or wheat. And that is really unfortunate because we require pulses, eggs, milk. Now, each one of you know that pulses will give you proteins, plus it will give you some vitamins and minerals. Eggs will give you very good quality protein, and egg is a complete food. Except for vitamin C, for children, egg is a complete food. And we have to make sure that children get one egg every day. Then milk gives you lots of calcium and other nutrients also. Milk gives you a whole range of nutrients that you cannot get from cereals or pulses. Similarly, vegetables give you a lot of vitamins and minerals. Fruits give you a lot of vitamins and minerals. Now, today we know there are 300 kind of nutrients in food. When I say they are phytochemicals, they are antioxidants, there are a whole range of them. Now, these come from vegetables, fruits, milk, eggs, meat, fish, nuts. Nuts are very important. But to this day, when we think of poor people, we think of them that they deserve just rice or wheat. And this is where we are stuck. Because when you look at children and they have only rice at home, you will find that less than 30% of their food they will eat. But that's why they are so short and underweight. Children cannot eat rice as a whole meal 3 times a day. Children's stomachs are very small, and rice is gives you very for the quantity they eat. The children can't get 12 to 1400 calories because they can eat only small quantities. That's the unfortunate part. We all know that in our families, when child is fed rice, we make sure that it's a khichdi. Then we add a lot of ghee in it and a lot of vegetables, greens, carrot. But in poor households, the child is given just rice like an adult eats, and the child is not able to eat, even if the child eats 5 times, get the calorie. See, remember, a child of about 6 years or something, 5, 6 years, requires half the adult food. By the time a child is about 3 to 4 years, the child requires about 13 to 1400 calories, which is half of what an adult requires. Now, you see how little a child can eat. So you have to make it energy dense. That's what it means. In the same volume, there must be more energy. It means there must be more calories. So you have to add fat in children's food. Now, when you add fat, it is almost 9 calories per gram. So you can, in a small volume, the child can get more energy. On top of that, if you make sure that you add carrot or you add greens or you add eggs or you add curd, you make the food complete as far as vitamins and minerals are concerned. But this is easily said than done in poor households because these are very, very expensive foods. So somehow we are very relaxed when there is rice given to poor people. We think it's a great job done and we can go back home and sleep. This is not true. Even for adults, rice can only give you calories. In fact, calories must come from many foods. It must come from eggs, it must come from meat, it must come from pulses, it must come from fat and potatoes and many other things, and flesh food. Because when you get calories from other foods, you also get many other nutrients. But remember, in the 40s, when all this was being discussed, there was a clear cut statement that calories must come from all other foods and any deficit must be made up by giving the cereal. Now it's the other way around. We give cereal and then we try and make it up with some other food. So we really turned it upside down. Similarly, other foods, each food must give more than one nutrient. So if you take green leafy vegetables, you should get minerals and vitamins and a whole range of nutrients plus a little calorie. If you're eating eggs, you get proteins and you get vitamins and minerals and a little bit of calories. So remember, it's a diversity of diet that is so important if you want a population which is healthy, which grows well, and which has good immunity. It can't be just rice. Now, since I'm talking so much about rice, I also want to tell you that when the PDS gives 5 kilos, according to the Right to Food, when PDS gives 5 kilos per person rice or wheat, okay, the calories are the same. It works out to about 160 grams per day per person, okay? And 160 grams gives you only 600 calories. So even the government PDS is giving you less than 1/3 of what you require. So what is it that we are talking about? Less than 1/3 of what you require. The rest you have to buy from the market. So it's not surprising that people will go hungry or eat uh, less through the day, especially when there's no work, there's no income, there's no food, and this is stretched. So this shows up on their bodies as underweight. In fact, if you go to a nation and look at the weights and heights of people, it's the bodies of these people that tell you the status of the nation. In fact, Dr. Gopalan used to say height is a good indicator of the development of a nation. As a nation improves, the heights of population increase. And this you can see it in your own families. The new generation is taller than the old. For instance, in my house, my son is taller than me. In your homes, I'm sure your children are taller, adult children are taller than you. So if a nation is progressing, the new generation has to be taller than the old generation. And this takes about 30 years for it to plateau off. And India, it hasn't even started. It has started in upper socioeconomic groups. Whereas in Europe, it was all over in the 40s and 50s. Japan has reached a plateau. China is reaching a plateau. But India is still far, far, far behind. So this is partly because of the kind of food we eat, the quality of food. Now, how do you improve this quality of food? First thing is for us to acknowledge that people can't live by rice or wheat alone. They require pulses, they require fat, they require eggs, they require a whole range of foods. Now, how much should a government give? I think that the basic uh, demand is that the government should make sure that food, health, education are state supported. So either they have to be uh, uh, subsidized or some of it has to be given free. You'll be surprised that in America, the whole food industry depends on the market which is created by the government. The government gives poor people food stamps and they can go and buy eggs and cheese and milk and juice and vegetables and cheese with the government stamps which are given free to them. They recognize that people require all this, not just bread. So the whole industry depends on the government providing subsidized or free food stamps to poor people. Whereas India, we are still loaded with just cereal. Actually, we should be making sure that our poultry supplies eggs and our agriculture is such that pulses are also given, and of course, fat is given, and wherever possible, fruits and vegetables should be added to the basket. Now, this is one of the reasons why if we are only going to eat calories from cereals, let me assure you, it doesn't get metabolized as efficiently as it should. Any extra is stored as fat, and that is why in India, we have got thin, fat people. What does that mean? The weight is very low, okay, but the body has more fat than ordinary people have. So it doesn't get converted to muscle, it doesn't get converted to protein. So we have people who are 35, 40 kilograms, but they are all fat inside. In the sense cereal calories have been converted to fat because it doesn't get metabolized into work. And that's why you shouldn't be surprised. They say Indians are lazy, they don't work hard enough. Look at construction workers, they walk so slowly, they can't carry heavy weights. Partly because there are no nutrition to be able to do efficient work in their work sites. So if you have to walk fast, if you have to run, if you have to participate in Olympics, you require nutrients that will burn the calories efficiently, because calories are not burnt efficiently, they are stored as fat. So this is our consequences of that. Now, when you look at the recommended dietary allowance, there again, it is very sad. If any one of you looks at books that are put out by National Institute of Nutrition or others, the only thing that is given, and I'm reading out here, is that for an adult, 460 grams of cereal, which is almost half a kilo of cereal, of rice or wheat. Pulse is only 40 grams. This is recommended by government authorities. Fat is only 25 grams. 25 is like four teaspoons or something like that. And vegetables are about 100 grams. Milk is only 150 ml, and we are the largest milk producers in this country. And sugar is 30 grams. Sugar can be much less. Now, this is for an adult. If you look at it more carefully, you will realize there is no nuts, no fruits, no flesh foods, no eggs, no fish. The recommended diet gives you 2,000 calories or 2,400, but all the calories are from cereal. And as a result, populations do not have, are not able to metabolize it efficiently, are not able to work efficiently, and you find that there is body pain, they take leave, they are not able to do heavy work, they will rest in between. During, you see construction labor, you see them walking slowly and carrying loads, whatever work they are doing. And every other day they will go to a doctor and get an IV glucose. They say we get glucose. Now, why the doctor gives glucose, I don't understand, because glucose is also calories, carbohydrate, but and B complex injections, and feel they think they are going to feel stronger. So this is the tragedy of our nutrition. Now, how do we now change this? In addition, we have other problems because our food is so poor in other nutrients, that is vegetables and fruits and eggs and flesh and fish, etc., nuts. We land up with many other problems. And the biggest problem, of course, is anemia, which is rampant. About 60% of the population, 40 to 60% of our population. Anemia is less blood. Now, if the body has to make blood, it requires many, many nutrients. It's not just iron, because iron is only one element. It requires protein, because the red blood cells is made of protein. It requires B12, it requires all the other minerals, magnesium, you name it, to make a red blood cell. And the body is not able to do it. And so you have anemia, and it gets worse during pregnancy because the demand is so high that it shows up during pregnancy, and young girls who have heavy bleeding, etc. Now, of course, during pregnancy, you give tablets and you tide over a crisis, but in the long run, it does drain the resources of a body which is not able to perform. Anemia is also very difficult to diagnose, partly because the signs and symptoms of anemia are not very, it's not like a heart disease. If you have a heart attack, everybody knows you have a heart attack. The pain is so severe, you start perspiring, you're rushed to a hospital, and diagnosis is made. In the case of anemia, it is a long drawn out deficiency which saps your body. You cannot work, and you are, only when it's very severe are you breathless. But otherwise, you carry on life at a low efficiency that even diagnosis is not done easily. So we have populations who are anemic, who carry on, and diagnosis is not easy, so it is not easily done except during pregnancy. Now, apart from anemia, there are other deficiencies. In the Himalayan region, we have iodine deficiency, we have goiter. Luckily for us, because of universal iodization of salt, iodine is supplied in those areas. But we still have about 5% population that has deficiency. The signs and symptoms of goiter, which is iodine deficiency, are as bad. Leaves you lethargic, leaves you dull, and unable to concentrate. The other big deficiency is calcium deficiency. The foods which are rich in calcium are expensive, like milk. And the other foods, of course, are all things like till and most of the spices are rich in calcium. But we don't eat so much spices, whether it's jeera or whether it's mustard or whether it's any of the spices. They are like a few quarter teaspoon for the whole family. But till, for instance, is rich in calcium. But how much will we eat? It's only eaten ceremonially once a year during Sankranti. So, but milk is such a good source of calcium, but not available in homes. People might use tea twice a day, but how much milk do they consume? Not more than 50 to 60 ml per person per day. And it is unfortunate that milk is not available for poor people, though we are the largest producers of milk. And we are a culture which drinks milk. Our whole stories of Krishna are all about drinking milk and eating up butter and drinking up buttermilk. But when it comes to the population, we don't think we should be planning for adequate milk. Actually, this shows up in very weak bones, and we'll never be able to know till you do a X-ray, DEXA X-ray. And this, nobody does these diagnoses. So women have bone pains and they have back pain and they have so many other problems. But some of them may eat calcium tablets, but you can't medicalize something and eat it all your life. It's simpler to drink milk and eat curd and use milk products. But it's only a particular class that can afford it. So you have calcium deficiency and you have so much B complex deficiency, and B complexes and come from vegetables and fruits. There again, they are becoming expensive. No, I'm not saying that farmers should not get their price. I'm only saying the people are not getting enough wages to buy all this. So, and the only way they can buy this is if they have enough money in their hands, because vegetable fruit prices are going up. And I don't think a family, it is said that an individual should consume half a kilo of vegetable and fruits per day, per individual, mind you, which means a family of 5 should be consuming 2.5 kilograms of fruits and vegetables combined. And I don't know of any family that can consume that much. It is that expensive. So with B complex deficiency, you have people who have severe aches and pains, body pains, lethargy, and very so-called non-specific symptoms. That's why and mostly it's women who will complain of it. I'm not saying men don't complain of it, they do, but men don't get pregnant and men do not do so much housework. So they come back from work and they'll just lie down in one side and outside the house maybe have a drink, but they will then rest till next morning. They are hanging outside the house or inside the house, whereas women have to then get back to housework, fill the water, take care of the children, feed the children, cook, wash the clothes. So the demand on women, the housework demand on women is so huge that the bodies start breaking up. Bodies are so badly mauled up that very often they don't go back to work. In fact, we did a study where we showed that in women who are eating so badly and have all this work, housework, occupation work, childcare, etc., etc., very often they stop going to work. They give up their jobs. And one of the main reason is that their bodies can't handle so much work, especially when there is a sick person, there are guests, there's pregnancy, or there is a marriage in the family. So they can do one work. They can't do both housework and work for wages. And very often they give up the jobs. And we think women are not serious workers. Actually, the reason they give up their work is because they can't give up housework. Women cannot give up housework, so they give up their paid work. And the moment that crisis is over, the pregnancy, they've given birth, the guests have gone, or the sick person is well, or whatever other reason, then they go looking for work again. This is just to tell you that the consequences, both for the economy and for her individual social economic life, is huge. And one of the reasons is the poor wages that does not allow them to eat food which is adequate, both quality and quantity. In today's world, we have this added problem of don't eat beef, cannot eat the meats that look like beef. You have a whole policing of the society, and some of the cheapest source of animal foods are now going to disappear. And this is being allowed. I think it's about time nutritionists talked about it, that we are going to have a population which is sick and unable to work if they do not get the quality of food that they all deserve to get. And if you have a right to eat what you're used, whatever culturally appropriate. But now we have a system where society decides what you can eat, what you cannot eat. In places like Karnataka and some places like Bhopal and Madhya Pradesh and northern states, they don't want to give eggs to children in the school lunch program. And that, what is it that the kids like eating? We found out that whenever the eggs are given, children, there are 100% attendance. But when just rice khichdi is given, you find that kids don't turn up in school. So despite the fact that children would like to eat eggs, this is being denied to them. So there's this whole new culture that is being forced upon our population that is going to create many, many problems. Okay. Now, in addition, now with COVID, would you like to stop here? Should I stop for some time? It's sort of
Ma'am, I think we can stop, and we have like a small poll again. We will run the poll now and take maybe 2-3 minutes. In
Sure.
between, they can come up with some questions if they want to.
Yeah, I'll wait here.
Yeah. So this is for the participants. We are again going to post a poll in the WhatsApp group as well as in the email. The poll will be open for 5 minutes. So this is 3:18 now. In 5 minutes, we'll close the poll. Please do not miss it. The poll will not be open after 5 minutes. And if you have any question for the discussion that was done till now, please come ahead, raise your hand. Some people I think are not able to raise the hand because they're not using the app. You can directly unmute yourself, introduce yourself, and ask the question. जिन लोगों से हैंड रेज नहीं हो रहा है वो अपने आप को डायरेक्टली अनम्यूट करें और क्वेश्चन कर सकते हैं.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, yes.
Hello, madam. I am Rakesh Dawli from Maharashtra.
Yeah.
I have to ask you one question. सभी फूड में न्यूट्रिशन, सभी फूड न्यूट्रिशनल होता है क्या? जैसे कि राइस.
मतलब क्या कहना चाहते हैं? कौन से फूड में न्यूट्रिशन नहीं है आपके हिसाब से?
हाँ, वो वही पूछ रहा था कि कौन सा फूड ऐसा है. अभी मैं, हमारे स्कूल है, हमारे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंडर हम जो पुअर बच्चों को फूड सप्लाई करते हैं. हाँ, तो जो ऐसा वेल न्यूट्रिशनल फूड बताओ कि जिसमें अच्छा फूड हो और वो जो पुअर बच्चे हैं उनकी अच्छी ग्रोथ हो.
अच्छा.
जैसे कि फिजिकली, मेंटली.
जी, मैंने कहा था कि हर फूड ग्रुप्स जो होते हैं ना, जैसे सीरियल्स में कैलोरीज बहुत होते हैं जिससे बच्चे खेलना, कूदना, जो रोज की जिंदगी के लिए जरूरत है, वो सीरियल्स, पल्सेस, तेल में बहुत है कैलोरीज, जिसको कैलोरीज कहते हैं. मगर ये कैलोरीज जितना तक विटामिन्स और मिनरल्स ना हो, ये कैलोरीज का इस्तेमाल ठीक तरह से नहीं होता. तो इसलिए हम कहते हैं कि फ्रूट्स और वेजिटेबल्स और अंडा और दही और दूध वगैरह भी जरूरत है, क्योंकि ये कैलोरीज को जैसे इस्तेमाल करने के लिए विटामिन्स और मिनरल्स चाहिए। और किस चीज में विटामिन्स और मिनरल्स हैं? आप सब्जी और फ्रूट में विटामिन्स और मिनरल्स रहेंगे, और दूध दही में बहुत कैल्शियम भी रहेगा, जो हड्डियों के लिए, हड्डियों को स्ट्रॉन्ग करने के लिए है। जो अंडा और फिश वगैरह है उसमें प्रोटीन्स रहेगा, जो अपने जो मसल्स जो कहती हूँ, समझ गए ना मसल्स किसको कहते हैं, उनको स्ट्रॉन्ग करने के लिए, और जो अंदर रिएक्शंस, बॉडी के रिएक्शंस के लिए प्रोटीन की जरूरत होती है। क्योंकि सिर्फ चावल, गेहूं, ज्वार, रागी वगैरह खाने से पूरा वो इस्तेमाल नहीं होता जितना तक ये प्रोटीन्स ना रहे बॉडी में। और जो प्रोटीन्स दाल से मिलते हैं वो इतने क्वालिटी उनका इतना अच्छा नहीं होता जो दाल की प्रोटीन होती है। आपको यदि सिर्फ चावल दाल खाना है तो कम से कम जो यदि 4 कप, वो रेशियो इतना होना चाहिए कि हर मील में, हर वक्त 4 और 1, जैसे 4 कप यदि चावल चढ़ाए तो 1 या 2 कप दाल रहना चाहिए। नहीं तो बिल्कुल चावल खाएंगे तो उसका इस्तेमाल नहीं होगा। तो इसलिए हम कहते हैं कि आप प्रोटीन अंडे से लीजिए, आप प्रोटीन दूध से ले लीजिए, आप प्रोटीन ऐसे लीजिए जो चावल का जो कैलोरीज है उसका इस्तेमाल होगा। सिर्फ दाल से काम नहीं चलता। और दाल बहुत मुश्किल है। आप 2 कप दाल डालते हैं और उसको या तो आधा लीटर दाल बना सकते हैं या 2 लीटर बना सकते हैं। इतनी पतली दाल भी बनती है कि उसका इस्तेमाल करना कोई फायदा नहीं होता। फायदा होता है टेस्ट में, मगर बॉडी के लिए पूरा नहीं होता। मगर अंडा हम गिन सकते हैं कि एक बच्चे को 1-1 अंडा मिले तो हमको पता है कितना प्रोटीन मिल रहा है। तो हर खाने में कुछ ऐसे पदार्थ हैं जो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। जैसे सीरियल्स में, जो सीरियल मतलब चावल, दाल, गेहूं, अनाज, हर तरह का अनाज में कैलोरीज है। दाल में प्रोटीन्स और कैलोरीज है। ऑयल में कैलोरीज है, और ऑयल ऐसा जरूरी है क्योंकि वो सब विटामिन्स को, ज्यादातर जो फैट सॉल्युबल विटामिन्स है, विटामिन ए, ई, डी, के, उसको अंदर अब्सॉर्प्शन के लिए जरूरी है। और फ्रूट्स और वेजिटेबल्स में मिनरल्स जैसे कैल्शियम और आयरन और मैग्नीशियम, तरह तरह के मिनरल्स है। विटामिन है, B1, बी, विटामिन ए वगैरह वगैरह फ्रूट्स वेजिटेबल्स में आएंगे। तो हर खाने का अपना अपना वो है, इम्पोर्टेंस है। तो आपको देखना चाहिए कि रोज बच्चे 5 और 6 टाइप्स ऑफ फूड्स उनके खाने में लगा जाए। सिर्फ हम चावल दाल के सिवाय चावल दाल, फ्रूट वेजिटेबल, अंडा, तेल, ये 4-5 चीजें यदि हम खाने में इस्तेमाल करेंगे तो आपका फूड न्यूट्रिशियस होगा, ठीक होगा। और इतना ही नहीं कि बच्चे को सिर्फ लिमिटेड भी ना दे। आपको याद होना चाहिए कि बच्चे पेट भर खाना चाहते हैं, तो क्वांटिटी भी इंपॉर्टेंट है, क्वालिटी भी इंपॉर्टेंट है। इसको फूड ग्रुप्स कहते हैं। जो फूड ग्रुप सीरियल पल्स होता है एक ग्रुप है, जो वेजिटेबल फ्रूट्स एक ग्रुप होता है, जो मिल्क एग्स एक ग्रुप होता है, शक्कर वगैरह अलग ग्रुप होता है, और नट्स जैसे मूंगफली वगैरह और एक ग्रुप होती है। तो हर खाने के लिए हर ग्रुप से कुछ निकाल के खाना बनाना चाहिए। तो एक खाने का नाम मैं नहीं दे सकती, देना भी नहीं चाहिए। आप मिलजुल के ऐसा बनाइए कि हर ग्रुप से खाना इस्तेमाल हो आपके कुकिंग में।
मतलब सभी फूड का यूज होना चाहिए, वेल कैलोरीज।
जी हाँ, जी हाँ। यदि नहीं होगा तो कुछ ना कुछ कमी रह जाएगी। यदि आप बच्चों के खाने में दूध दही नहीं डालेंगे तो कैल्शियम डिफिशिएंसी होगी और बच्चे ठीक तरह से लंबाई में नहीं बढ़ेंगे।
हेलो मैम।
यस,
हेलो
हाँ बोलिए।
मैम, I'm Abhishek from Jharkhand. Ma'am, I ask about the use of spirulina in the diet of children and baby foods.
क्या स्पिरुलिना?
Yes, ma'am.
वो कहाँ से आपको पता चला? वो हिंदुस्तान में तो होता ही नहीं है, ये सिर्फ ड्रग इंडस्ट्री वाले इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं, उसका कोई फायदा नहीं है। आप प्लीज हो सके तो बंद कीजिए स्पिरुलिना। स्पिरुलिना कहते हैं साउथ अमेरिका में उसका इस्तेमाल होता है, मगर 2 महीने में उसमें जो कुछ पदार्थ कहते हैं जैसे विटामिन ए का होता है, हमारी हर हरी भाजी में विटामिन ए है। आप कैरेट खाइए, आप हरी भाजी खाइए, भरा हुआ है। हमको स्पिरुलिना की जरूरत नहीं है। वो एक तो बहुत महंगा है और एक 2 महीने में बिल्कुल उसमें स्पिरुलिना खत्म हो जाता है। तो मैं तो कहती हूँ स्पिरुलिना हिंदुस्तानी खाना ही नहीं है, उसको इस्तेमाल ही नहीं करना चाहिए। ड्रग इंडस्ट्रीज ट्रायल कर रहे हैं शायद झारखंड में, आप पता कीजिए। उसमें बहुत फायदा तो होगा नहीं, शायद नुकसान ही हो सकता है।
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
वेलकम।
Good afternoon, ma'am.
हाँ बोलिए।
I just wanted to ask one thing, that in your speech you have mentioned that there is no kind of such of gender biasness in nutrition,
Yeah.
as far as nutrition is concerned.
हाँ
But we have witnessed in family level there is gender biasness in terms of
कैसे बताइए
uh,
कैसे?
nutrition, and in terms of if you have a boy and a girl child,
हाँ
then it is ensured that a big piece of fish or big piece of something or more amount of milk is ensured for the boy, not for the girl. We have witnessed in the rural Bengals and maybe other parts. I don't have experience for the other parts, but I can say only for Bengal. They were at the family level, at the very family level. It is not that the parents not love the girl child and others, but it's become an culture that if you have a girl child and you have a boy child, the boy will get more attention than girl. So if you give some reflection on that how
Yeah.
the nutrition is matter as far as gender is concerned.
अच्छा, तो हम लोग जब when I'm talking about nutrition, I'm looking at the weights and heights, anemia, and all the problems, and we find that the weights and heights of boys and girls are the same. The deficit, the shortages, the inadequacies are not different. But at the micro level, what you're saying might be true, okay? But when people are very poor, that poverty that a small piece of fish or a small piece of extra milk or something does not show up in the boy's body because his weight doesn't improve. The boy will run around the village 2 or 3 times and use up that food. Maybe the girl will not have the energy to run around so much. You know how children go round and round the villages. They're so active. So if you feed them little better, they will just go around 2, 3, 4 times and that's it, or swim across a lake. Or so in terms of weights and heights, we do not find any difference. But at the micro level, you may be right. But can I stop a mother from showing a little extra love to a child? No. I can only talk about it, but the real problem is poverty. Okay, we forget poverty and we are so busy with gender. Then why don't you look at caste? If you look at the rest of India, the Dalits, SCs, their condition is so bad. Their weights, their heights, their anemia is really bad. So please look at gender, look at caste, look at class, look at rural, urban. I agree with you. It's possible that a mother loves one child more than the other. But don't waste all your time only on that. Just you have to make sure that you talk that when the girl starts menstruating, she'll need better food. When she gets pregnant later and goes away, she will need better food. You can talk about it, persuade people, but that shouldn't become our major concern when data is not showing any difference between boys and girls. And the boy also eats a little more and he takes out all the energy in his play, on his fights, or he plays football or whatever he does. and girls are
Oh.
not able to do all this. So I'm not saying it at the micro level it does not exist. It may exist. One of the things they say is women they feed the husband, they feed the men. That also is true, isn't it? Hello?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Now
yes,
women
ma'am.
eat last because they
I just wanted to say that there is this kind of perception is very much there, but we need to overcome this by creating awareness that a girl needs kind of more things because they faces more challenges than a boy.
for me is a bigger constraint so that both the boy and the girl get two fishes rather than one extra piece. Okay,
Yes, sure.
that is the major thing. That one extra, a mother will give the child 2 rupees, go buy some biscuit. The boy will run and eat something from the coffee shop or from the. But that doesn't show in his weight. That doesn't show in his nutrition status. He was feeling more loved. Now, at the micro level, I'm saying I don't want to spend so much time discussing it. It is
Okay.
true in your villages, it may be a factor, so please raise it, but don't beam guilt onto mothers. They have enough problems in their lives, and they
No,
have a
I
right.
am not. No, I am not guilt my mother, but I am just raising this issue before you to get a reflection on it.
I'm not denying it, but it's not showing up in the weights, heights, and other parameters of nutrition that we
Yes,
see. Okay, but your micro
yes,
level, I'm not at all saying it's not true. It must be true because you have observed it and you work with them. No? But
yes,
I
yes.
would take up much bigger issues and talk about the girl that she also should get her share because she is going to start having menstruation. She will need better food than the boy, actually. The girls will need better food because she'll be
Yes.
menstruating every month. Then later she will be getting married and becoming pregnant. Yes, please discuss it. I'm not against it.
No, ma'am, it's okay. Thank you. But today's biggest learning from you that we need to measure height and weight both
Yeah.
when we are talking about nutrition.
Yeah.
That's I'm very thankful to you. This is Shubhankar from West Bengal, ma'am. Thank you.
Very nice talking to you. And please,
Thank
when you measure, learn it properly so that there is no error in it.
you. Okay.
Okay?
Thank,
Yeah.
thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
No, no, I really appreciate your comment. And please remember that you are the people who are going to change society.
No, actually, I wanted this reflection because I'm working in a panchayat.
Yeah.
So this will help.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Thank you, ma'am.
I
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello.
Yeah.
Uh, Hello, ma'am. Good afternoon. My name is Kumudini Mishra. I'm a micro planner and a livelihood expert in PNC department in the district of Kalahandi. The
Oh.
district majorly as you must be familiar, we lack in nutrition, the health, the education status. We are a little poorer than the rest of the districts.
Yeah.
Particularly when I talk about the anemia part, in our district, we do have the government intervention Anemia Mukt Bharat program, which is also running out here. But still, the pregnant woman, it's not showing some significant decline in the blood level, the hemoglobin. It's still the anemic. Like when I talk about and compare with our state, the state NFHS 2015-16 data talks it's 68.7% of women aged between 15 to 49 age group are anemic.
Yeah.
And Kalahandi, it's 70% in the rural areas. No doubt we have understood that awareness and then good hygienic practices, all these are needed, dietary like diversification. But then I wanted your inputs and suggestions so that we could come up with specific or some special interventions, because this is a major issue.
Okay.
It's not a question, but then it's ma'am, your suggestions and insights.
Anemia is a huge problem, and I'm glad you have raised it. And what we traditionally have learned is that tell the women to eat green leafy vegetables, palak, like a cow. Even if a woman eats like a cow, she will not be able to make enough hemoglobin. There are 2 or 3 things that you must remember, that this iron in the green leafy vegetables does not get absorbed because green leafy vegetables have compounds called phytates and oxalates, where all the iron gets precipitated and goes down the drain. If you can mix up the green leafy vegetable with a bit of meat, any meat, whether it is liver or whether it is bone or whether it, just mix it up and cook. The iron absorption is excellent. That is one. And please don't feel shy to talk about it. We should talk about food practices that people like. So cook greens with a bit of meat, any meat, whether it's liver or. The second thing is that they have to have enough protein to make blood. Now, where will they get the protein from? So please encourage poultry, encourage eggs, I don't know whether you have cows, but please keep some milk in your house when you're selling milk. So without protein, no hemoglobin will be made. Just with iron, hemoglobin is not. Iron is a metal after all. The hemoglobin molecule requires protein, it requires iron, it requires magnesium, it requires all the vitamins. So take care that some protein is specially eaten when you're anemic. And where will you get the protein from? Eggs or fish or milk or eggs or pulse. Yes, they have to eat thick dal. Dal jo thick rehti hai na, not watery dal. Yes, there'll be some protein there. So this is, but green leafy vegetables just like this is useless. Okay.
Palak to ma'am may be a challenge, but then we are very good with fish and then I think dairy also we can work, and poultry also we are coming up with programs where. So
No,
I think
cook the green leafy vegetables with meat. Separately mat khao, meat ke saath khao. Then the iron absorption is better.
Okay, fine. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ma'am. I am Narapara Chitamani, CDPO Kamipalli from Telangana State.
Great.
Here, most of the people are facing problems regarding B12 and D3.
Yeah.
Deficiency of the vitamins. And what if they are vegetarians? If they can't support meat or eggs.
Telangana doesn't have so much vegetarianism. Most people are non-veg.
Yes, ma'am. But what about some people, those who are vegetarians by choice or by the practices?
Yeah. Well, then earlier we got our B12 from food which was contaminated with worms. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's how people got their B12. Now, unfortunately, it is being cleaned and sold in supermarkets. So that B12 is not there. Once there's deficiency, and if it shows up, they'll have to take tablets. There's no shortcut.
Without medication, they can't just fulfill up with the food.
There's no magic. Tell them to eat a piece of liver if they can, twice a week. It gives a lot of B12 in the liver. That is animal liver. They have to become non-veg. There's no shortcut to it. See, the other foods have very little B12. Milk and eggs have very little. It's not enough. I told you lots of people have B12 deficiency because now food is cleaned up. Earlier food was infested with worms and we used to eat those worms. Even vegetarians used to eat the worms and get their B12.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for the information.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, ma'am. This is Pratima Kumari from Jharkhand.
Okay.
I'm a master trainer.
You're a master?
Trainer.
Oh, great. Huh?
Okay. Ma'am, I wanted to know that you talked about how eggs can help get poor people protein, how fortified cereals or other food which can cure anemia. But how can we get that food to the people who are actually below poverty line through PDS? How we can get to them in actual life?
In actual life, the PDS also food is not enough. If they are, how much are they giving in Jharkhand per person?
That
5 kilos, no?
Yes, yes,
5
ma'am,
kilos.
to the ration card holders.
Yeah. So if you have 5 kilos, it works out to about 160 grams per day per person. Okay. If it's 5 kilos per person, it's 160 grams. It works up to 600 calories per day. It is not even 1/3 the requirement. So even PDS is not enough. They have to buy food from outside. So you have to ask the government to increase the supply, make sure they give oil in the PDS, some pulses in the PDS, and at least children should get their eggs from the school lunch program or the ICDS, right?
Yes,
When you say below poverty line, you have to find, do you want to give them jobs or do you want to give them food?
uh, there are various other in different situations, different requirements are there. For example, for an adolescent girl who also quit going to school due to non-availability of girls' bathroom or due to family pressure, her requirement will be for an adolescent girl to a proper source of iron.
Yeah.
She can't do work, she can't do job right now.
Yeah.
So in different situation requirements are different, but how this poor people who are mainly affected, poor girls, poor adolescent girls who are mainly affected by malnutrition or anemia, uh, we should target that people. I wanted to
my point is, for adolescent girls, the government has, do you want the government to do something? Then you have to bargain with the government. You have to bring it to the notice of the government that adolescent girls have severe anemia, something has to be done. Right now, they will give you tablets, but tablets are not enough. They need proper food. Only then the tablets will work. So you have to work with the government, you have to work with NGOs. It depends. Or somebody who gives them jobs so that they can earn. See, it depends on your area. Because what the government is giving is very little, very little. I told you 600 calories. That's all PDS we are getting, and we think it's a great thing. It's not great. Ask for oil, ask for pulses, ask for eggs, or get some NGO who will make arrangements, or ask for better wages.
Yes,
that's what I'm telling you. We think we are doing a great job by giving PDS. It is not enough. It's only 600 calories per person per day.
Yes, ma'am. That is, I wanted to, to show us way how we can integrate this egg, giving eggs or some fortified vitamin A enriched rice to how we can make them
fortified. Sorry. I never talked of fortified rice. Sorry. Vitamin A is available in plenty in carrots and greens. If fortified rice is only to fortify the pockets of people who are selling you this. We don't need a carrot. If a woman eats one carrot with a bit of oil, cooked in a bit of oil, that beta carotene is absorbed.
That is only what that only if we can make them available for the BPL family.
Oil in the diet, in the PDS.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, oil in the PDS, rice in the PDS, pulses in the PDS, and for eggs and milk, you have to have local societies, poultry, etc., so that you can get them cheap. Who will buy it? That you have to ask the government or NGOs or anyone else there. Spirulina is what they want to give you because they want to do a trial on you. They are experimenting in Jharkhand. But you should ask for eggs. We want eggs. Spirulina is not our diet. It is a diet, it is part of only South American diet.
Okay, ma'am.
So please,
thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Madam, I am Soundarya from ICDS CDPO from Adilabad district, Telangana.
Wonderful.
In Adilabad district, some Mathura communities and some tribal communities, women and men also, they won't eat non-veg.
Yeah.
In ICDS Anganwadi centers also we provide egg no. The children also they told that children not to eat egg, not to they from childhood only they practice that not to eat non-veg. For that people how we will manage that in place of non-veg how we can
In
replace that.
the only source for them will. Why have they become vegetarian?
Some practices, traditional practices.
Okay. Now, what I would suggest is, do they drink milk?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the milk is a good source of protein. So ask the government to provide milk for them. Okay. And
In
some more.
Anganwadi, we provide milk also, ma'am.
They don't drink.
They do drink, but in place of non-veg, in place of egg, that much protein is not there, no. In
No, but
egg.
what do we do then? What can we do? Give them more dal and give them more milk. Okay. Some pulses extras, milk extra, and try and find out why are they not eating eggs? I mean, why are they so foolish?
Hello,
There is
ma'am.
a
I'm Smita from World Vision. Can we replace the if few people like no in a rural area, many people are not able to have milk at their home. If they will be having the cow and buffaloes also, they will sell it out, but
Yeah.
they will not use for their own purpose. So, can we promote the soya bean
No,
seeds or soya bean milk
so
or
sorry. Which area are you talking about?
in Madhya Pradesh there will be a lot of cultivation of soya bean
Yeah.
and people means if we are recommending the pulses it is a very good source of protein, so soya bean also can be a source of protein. So can we ask them to in few little quantity they can add soya beans in their food, or the moringa leaves also we are recommending them for this
Okay.
thing.
Soya bean is not a bean that belongs to India. It was grown in India so that it could be exported for poultry feed. But unfortunately, it is stuck in India. It takes 1 hour to cook soya bean. It causes allergies in children. It has many negative qualities. Okay, please don't ask for soya bean. Please. Instead, you can add groundnut if you like. You want to add protein. If people are not drinking milk, tell them to keep some milk for their children before selling it off. But soya bean has many bad qualities. It causes allergies. It causes it has hormone like quality. So even boys will get female characteristics and girls can get menstruation very early. So please do not promote soya bean anywhere. Madhya Pradesh can grow it and throw it in the sea. Tell them to throw it in the sea.
Thank you. Ma'am, one more thing like this one, soya bean also, and as we are also recommending some recipes like no people are not many people are vegetarian in India, and the eggs and non-veg things they are not acceptable things for them, and it will take so much time to motivate them to for a vegetarian to be a non-vegetarian. So what can be the other things we can say like no they are not able to
Don't waste
take the
time.
name also for these eggs and non-veg things.
Don't waste time motivating them. Tell them to drink more milk, eat more dal, and have groundnuts. Nuts have some protein, so they can get the proteins from there. Because the climate in India, political climate is very dangerous. So if you try to make them non-vegetarian, people will attack you. So be very careful. Tell them to drink more milk or curd and eat groundnuts. Groundnuts is a good source of
Okay,
protein.
yes, we are motivating for groundnuts. We have many
That's
recipes
be safe.
about the
Don't
groundnuts.
ask people to become non-veg if they don't want to be. We can't. We are in a very bad situation politically. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, also this goat meal, how it is more effective than other
Goat meal is nothing. It is a cereal after all. And oats are growing in your area.
No, ma'am.
Then why do you want to give oat meal?
No, goat milk.
Goat milk. Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, it's as good as any other milk. If they like it and they have it, let them drink.
But I think goat milk is more like compared to other this cow, buffalo or cow. Goat milk is more good for health.
No, it's as good as any other milk. Please look up the composition. It will have little more protein, little less lactose, something like this. So if people are used to it, please let them have it. It's very good.
Thank you, ma'am.
Do people drink in your area?
Actually, I think for malnourished children, goat milk is more effective. Like that, there are some researches.
Please don't buy expensive goat milk. If people are drinking it, tell them to drink it. Okay. But don't.
Thank you.
Is that all?
Yes, ma'am. We have already completed more than an hour of this session.
Yeah.
And thank you very much. It was a very informative and very expansive session. I mean, when you said you don't want to present with a PPT, I thought maybe we'll have a short lecture, but it has turned into a long lecture and a lot of discussion followed by it. And I'm very happy to see that our participants have also contributed, have also come forward and interacted with you. They will not get the chance over and over again. That's why I'm repetitively motivating them to talk and to interact with you. So on behalf of Center for Gender Studies and Development in NIRD, and on behalf of all the participants, I thank you for being here with us, for taking your time out and sharing your knowledge with us. And we will end the session here. But of course, if you have any reading materials that you want to refer, that you want them to read, you do let us know. We will procure it. We will disseminate it among the participants.
That'd be great.
And, we are going to come back to you with some mundane questions of your account details and all. We will connect with you in email, and Sajid will be in touch with you for further some of the process.
In fact, some of the material you can get from NIN itself and distribute it to them. But they have to learn how to use it.
Something non-technical, which everyone can read. Something little more descriptive than.
No, but they also have to learn how to use it. For instance, this book, Nutritive Value of Indian Foods, is like a Bible. The questions that were coming up, what do we do if people are vegetarian? What do we do for anemia? If I can show you that book next time, sometime maybe, how to use it, you can do miracles wherever you are. Okay?
Right.
And maybe each one has that book, it will really be very, very. I would love a short session of 20 minutes on how to use that book in the places where you're working. But everybody should have copies, or I should show it and then they can get the copies. It's very cheap. It's hardly 60 rupees or something. And once you know how to use it, you can do miracles, believe me. Okay.
We'll try to collect it and disseminate among the participants. And of course, we'll plan something more focused on this issue in future. And we will be in contact with you. Thank you.
Use this nutritive value to see which food is valuable in your area. Like I got questions on spirulina, on goat's milk, on, I mean, I feel really sad that people have not consulted this book. There are only 4 or 5 tables you have to look at. I can even photocopy and send it to all of you if you like. But we could all buy those books. They're only 60 rupees each. And it would be a valuable possession. Okay. Thank you very much.
We will find the book and we will disseminate. Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.